How's the punters? Welcome back to the BSB Sports Betting Podcast. It's going to be the last regular season podcast. After this one, we're going to be focusing on just the World Cup. With me, as always, is Simon, and we're going to be breaking down a few of the results from the EPL, the Champions League draw, the Rugby, the T20 World Cup, and then we're going to jump into some previews for the Premier League, upcoming Rugby, and then the T20 Semi finals. So that's the schedule. Let's start off with the Premier League, Simon, and let's start off with our side, Newcastle and Miggy Almiron. That oak. He is just banging away goals at the moment. I don't know if you saw that clip about Grealish last season bashing him.
No, I didn't.
There's a clip going around of Bernardo Silva filming Grealish, and Grealish is talking about how bad some players are and how bad someone played, and he's like, "Yeah, he played like Almiron or something like that."
Wow. Yeah.
And I saw some stats yesterday, and I think Grealish has had like the same amount of minutes as Almiron, and he's only scored one goal, whereas Almiron's got like 8 goals or something. I mean, this is a player who was, to be fair, not great last season, and Newcastle are just flying at the moment, up to third. Simon, would you ever have thought that at the beginning?
Yeah, that's amazing, and nine games undefeated now. So obviously that's above Spurs, United, Chelsea, and Liverpool. I also think it's quite encouraging. We're seeing goals, especially this last match, goals and assists coming from everywhere on the field.
Yeah,
without a reliance on an out-and-out striker for our goal tally. So it is cool to see. Overall, nothing too surprising on Saturday. It wasn't the most exciting slate of games, I don't think. But obviously the big one was the early kickoff on Sunday, which was the big London derby between Chelsea and Arsenal.
Yeah.
And I think the Gunners very much had the better of that match from the word go, actually, which I can't say I expected. Look, Arsenal obviously vastly improved on last season, but I must say they really did look much better than Chelsea. I think the 1-0 scoreline actually at the end for the Gunners was
a bit harsh.
Was a little bit harsh, and I think that could have beaten them more comfortably than that.
I think it was like a 2-3-0 kind of game.
Absolutely,
they were camped in the Chelsea third.
I
was standing in a line at the airport watching the last like 30 minutes. And, just crosses after crosses after crosses after crosses, and Chelsea they just dominated them.
Yeah, I think it kind of made Chelsea look a bit devoid of class in comparison. I think quite a statement actually in some ways. Look, I can't say I'm convinced that the Gunners can challenge Man City sort of over 36 games. So I think come the end of May next year, though, Gunners might be their best challengers. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be one of those seasons. I mean, there's no other challengers at the moment. It's going to be between those two. There's no one else. I mean, Newcastle are 6 points off or something like that. But let's be realistic. I don't think challenges it by any stretch.
I feel in a little way, though the season is still early. I think we've seen enough from Liverpool to know now that they're not going to challenge. I think. I'm sticking my neck out there saying that. I think so. So I think Arsenal have probably got the best shot, but I'm not going to say that they're going to challenge City just yet. But they're certainly looking promising.
Yeah, and then City picking up a hard 4-2-1 win over Fulham, where Cancelo got a red card. I watched that game as well. Haaland scored that. Well, Haaland came off the bench because he had that knock, so he missed the week before, and he came off the bench, scored a goal, which was ruled out for offside. And that was such a close call.
It was very close.
I really thought that they should have given it to him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think in those situations you got to give the benefit to the goal scorer, or to the offense.
You really should.
Yeah, and then the big surprise result, I suppose, was Villa defeating United 3-1, which ended a run of 9 games for United unbeaten. So I must say, it was just for me though, watching that, United just didn't create enough chances. I know it sounds like such a cliche, but really, they should be racking up like 15, 20 attempts at goal against the side.
They just don't have the strikers, though. It's the same with Chelsea. They just don't have the strikers.
And Ronaldo obviously being captain for the first time in many months.
He should be gone, man.
Yeah. Look, I understand Ten Hag's probably trying to inspire confidence in him. But I think under Ronaldo, United looked way disorganized and very disjointed. So yeah, I kind of see his tactic there by captaining Ronaldo, maybe just kind of last chance saloon sort of thing.
Yeah.
But sure, it was not a good move in the end, I don't think.
No, but they were comprehensively beaten. And
Mm.
then we had the probably the biggest, well, I don't know, maybe the second biggest of the weekend was Spurs taking on Liverpool. And that was actually a pretty close game. Salah scoring a brace there.
Yeah.
I feel like that one could have gone either way, to be honest. A draw
Mm.
probably would have been the fairest result,
Mm.
but Liverpool, they seem to pick up the wins against the tough sides. They've beaten City,
Mm.
they've beaten Spurs. Uh,
Well, Spurs, I
you know,
think for sure, I want to say 7 or 8 seasons have had sorry, Liverpool for 7 or 8 seasons have had Spurs' number.
uh,
They've played they have a brilliant record against Tottenham. So yeah, kind of not surprising to see them pull one out the bag there.
yeah, so I don't know. I don't think it's really been a big change of form for them, but Salah's finally found some scoring form. I mean, the guys
Mm.
had so many chances, and yeah, Newcastle beating Southampton, Crystal Palace beating West Ham at home, which I think was quite a surprise for me. I thought West Ham
Yeah.
might have picked up a result there, and yeah, I think then we should jump on to some of the Champions League draw. And
Mm.
I don't know if you caught the drama about the Man United getting Barcelona. A whole lot of Man United fans complaining about how that draw took place. The guy had a look at the ball and he kind of kept his hand on it, and everyone's saying that's going to be the first one drawn because that was the one that he looked at or whatever, and it was the first one that came out. It was, I don't know. I don't want to say it was dodgy. I can see how some people might perceive it as dodgy, but I mean
Yeah.
Barcelona is not the worst draw for Man United, to be fair.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's a lottery, really, and I don't think it's that easy to kind of rig anyway. So I think it's a bit of a fuss about nothing. But yeah, I think there's some pretty exciting
Oh,
matchups
some
actually.
absolute crackers. I'm actually this is
Yeah.
the best draw in a long time. AC Milan Spurs is going to be a cracker. PSG Bayern.
Mm,
We've got Liverpool Real
Real
Madrid. Couldn't
Madrid.
ask for anything better than that. Inter Milan Porto. Napoli, okay, Frankfurt, not really a big one, and then
Yeah.
even Borussia Dortmund against Chelsea is a good fixture.
Brilliant. I honestly think that I think the draw is brilliant. I mean, we've seen great matches between Liverpool and Real Madrid in the past, and you have to feel that Liverpool are gonna pick it up as we get towards the sort of latter stages of the Champions League. But yeah, I mean, PSG Bayern brilliant as well. Just Dortmund Chelsea could be very interesting. I think and obviously it's I mean, the Atletico not going through was quite interesting. I
Yes,
think that's
that was
probably
drama. That match.
yeah. I think that's the first time in a long time they haven't qualified.
Yeah, they finished bottom of the group, I think. Actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It was, yeah, I was also very surprised. But that's only taking place in February, so we're a long way
Mm,
away from that. So I don't think we should dwell on that too much.
yeah.
Let's talk about the South African, the box display against Ireland.
Mm.
Box were underdogs going into that one. I think they were 2.5 or 2.6, if I stand to be corrected there. But
Yeah, 3 points. 3 points on the spread. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
pretty much bookies had that one nailed on then.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, obviously Ireland world number one team, and us defending champions, World Cup champions. So yeah, I think that looked about right to me. I wasn't getting excited about backing either team there. Um, it was actually fantastic to see how many South African supporters. Also, quite scary how many people have immigrated from South Africa. I think,
Yeah.
but there were so many South African supporters. It was actually brilliant. I mean, Aviva Stadium is, I think, one of the best rugby stadiums in the world. It's brilliant. It's just also one of the newer, more modern stadiums. Very well lit. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful stadium. So it was awesome to see so many South Africans there. But I think that was one of the most physical games of rugby. I know everyone talks about, oh, the Springboks are so physical, blah blah, and it sounds such a cliche, but honestly, I think every player left like every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears on the field. And both sides. So I think both sides were absorbing so much pressure. And, despite plenty of injury interruptions, especially in the first 20, 25 minutes, there were long passages of play of more than like 10 phases where both teams just defended really, really, really well. Um,
But the
yeah, I
box
think
couldn't kick worth a damn though.
well, I was just gonna say, I think Ireland's three-point win really came down to two things. First, they did make more tackles than we did. I think we also defended well, but they defended that much better. If you look at the stats at the end, they missed very very few tackles where we did miss a few, and we missed a few important ones. But also, I mean, we only had a 50% success rate in front of goal
Mm.
kicking. I mean, desperately missing Andre Pollard, and obviously Willemse standing in for him, and missing a few, as well as old Colby, so Jason Colby. So I mean, we left 8 crucial points on the field in a very tight match, which is obviously not going to be ideal against playing against a
Well,
very
they are the world number ones though. So I mean,
they are
like
absolutely.
I understand the performance is frustrating and
Mm.
stuff like that from the box, but we are playing against the best side in the world, and they are the best side in the world at the moment,
No,
and we're
I
playing in Ireland as well. So I mean,
absolutely.
3 point loss is not the it's not the worst.
It's not. No, it's absolutely not. And as I said, I think both teams defended very, very well. I think obviously, if we were kicking better at goal, it would have been a different story. But I think that both teams deserve full credit. Actually, I think it was a good match.
Yeah, we won't say the same about the T20 where we got knocked out by the Netherlands. Ooh. I'm sure you've got a lot to say about that one, Simon.
Yeah, it was actually
Terrible performance there from
yeah, it was a promising start from us. I mean, obviously the 13 run loss against Netherlands was obviously that was just no one kind of saw that one coming. But we beat the tournament favourites, India. And yeah, we were looking pretty good, I must say. And Bavuma's come under heavy scrutiny now as a captain.
yeah,
And I must say,
as you should, as you should.
I agree. I think his ability to lead the side is dubious at best. But interestingly, because I think quite not unfairly maybe, but I think Australia being dumped out of the tournament despite only losing one match against New Zealand is very unlucky.
Mm.
Obviously the two groups were a bit lopsided. Australia's group being much tougher than ours. Um, but thankfully, my Pakistan outright bet is still live. So I mean, Pakistan lost their first 2 matches on the very last ball against New Zealand. I mean, sorry, against Zimbabwe and India. But they still managed, because of the Proteas losing to Netherlands, squeak through. So I've now got. I was just going to call it a 1 in 4 chance, because I honestly
Yeah,
don't think there's much to
it's
separate any of these.
2 matches away from a win, and yeah, we might as well just jump straight into the
Yeah.
semi-finals where New Zealand are taking on Pakistan, and
Yeah, I mean
um,
the bookies unsurprisingly are not separating the teams much. I mean, Pakistan, New Zealand, it's a 1.8 even money. Some books have got it 9 to 10 either side, and I think this is, to be honest, like, just to kind of go, just a little bit big picture here. I mean, I think as a bookmaker, that's the best way to do it. That's the best strategy, because even at the best of times, T20 is a bit of a coin flip. So I think when you kind of get to the business end of a World Cup, where where we are now, it's unrealistic to think that any team's got like a much better chance than the other. I think they're all, T20. It is. There's a lot of randomness involved.
mm,
So yeah, I don't really want to try and break down the matches too much, but obviously I would love Pakistan
what was the
to
price you got there? Like 9-1 or something?
nine
Or
to one. Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
now they're
So they're
now
now
down to 4.2. So
4.2. Yeah. So
you have a
no,
cash
nice.
out on that one. Oh,
Nah,
it's
I'll let it
outright
run.
bet. Probably don't have a cash out. You could just have
Nah, but I
manually
would,
trade it. Yeah.
even if I could, I'm just going to let it run. It's not a big stake, and also it's just, for me, it's not really,
Yeah, it's
I'll
fun
rather
money.
just,
Yeah.
yeah. But I must say, like, obviously, my heart is with Pakistan. I would love them to win, but if you had to put a gun to my head and said who's going to win this, and I had to pick a team, I'd probably say England.
Yeah.
Obviously, just like that, I like Pakistan on value, and it's worked out for me. But I think England probably, from what I can see, look the strongest side. I think even a little bit better than India. But yeah, it's going to be a fun finish. I'm excited for it. It's Wednesday and Thursday, so the first match between Pakistan and New Zealand's on Wednesday, and then India and England is on Thursday.
And I see they're playing at reasonable times in the morning as well, 10 o'clock. So you don't actually have
Yeah,
to wake up too early to catch that one, which is a bit
yeah,
of a blessing.
it's nice.
I'll be cheering your Pakistan side on, Simon.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I hope they can do it.
Let's jump over to some Premier League before we have a quick look at the. Well, actually, let's just jump straight to the rugby coming up this weekend, where South Africa are facing France. In
Yeah.
France, South Africa are heavy underdogs there. France 1.5. I think the French are going to beat us. I don't see us winning this one. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I really like this French side at the moment. I actually think Ireland are the number one ranked team and they are the best team in the world, but I think France are very, very close behind them, and especially with form and how they've been playing and looking and stuff like that. So I was
Yeah, I mean, there
surprised to
are.
see it such a big discrepancy, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, the World Cup is in France, but they are the favourites to win the World Cup. So yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you there. I mean, France only beat Australia 30 points to 29 on the weekend, which is obviously a bit of a surprise. They were quite, I think they were, I think at least 7 point favourites there. So now they're going, against the Springboks as 4.5 point favourites in Marseille. Um, yeah, you know what? I kind of I think if we had a decent goal kicker, I might fancy South Africa to cover the handicap at 4.5, but not without a decent goal
No.
kicker. I think this handicap looks right to me. I
Yeah,
think 4.5
I
is
like the minus four
is
and a
fair.
half. Yeah, to be honest, that's if I'm taking a bet in that game, I'm taking France minus 4.5.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the over underline is going to be, but you know, maybe overs. But I just can't see the box winning this one. Just yeah, I think it's going to be France by like 7 or something like that, if not more.
Yeah, and then the other, I mean, this last weekend now, Argentina beat England for the first time in I think it was 15 years or something, which is I mean I think Argentina have been on a very very good trajectory actually over the last couple of seasons. They really are improving a lot. But England are hosting Japan this week, and I actually think there's a bit of value in backing England there. And I don't think it's because of an overreaction to England's loss against Argentina, but I think 19 and a half points is actually a bit low for that handicap. So I think they'll cover that
Mm,
quite comfortably. So I'll take England on the minus 19 and a half there, hosting Japan. Not because I think Japan's a Mickey Mouse side. I think that they're fairly decent, but I think 19 and a half is a little low actually for that handicap. I don't like backing big handicaps like us generally, but I think
yeah.
19 and a half is actually quite decent. But I think another great match this weekend should be Wales versus Argentina, and that's pretty hard to separate. I think
Mm,
Welsh are only a marginal favourites to win at home, which I think also looks about right actually. So yeah, so good rugby to look forward to this weekend as well.
yeah. Hope yeah, it's going to be a nice cracking weekend of sport. Last weekend of the Premier League, and while we're talking about the Premier League, let's jump over
Mm,
to those fixtures.
yeah.
And let me just quickly pull them up here. I did have them up a second ago. There we go. We've got some pretty standard fixtures. I think the most exciting one for us is going to be Newcastle taking on Chelsea,
Mm,
playing at home. But let's run through them. We've got City taking on Brentford. City should demolish Brentford. The defense is just not looking good at the moment. It's going to be goals in that one. City are going to win that one. Don't see them losing it. Bournemouth versus Everton. You could make an argument for a Bournemouth win there. They're not looking that bad. Everton are still struggling up front.
mm.
But I'm going to be staying away. Spurs taking on Leeds. Spurs are 1.6 against Leeds, playing at White Hart Lane, or not White Hart Lane, the new stadium. Um, but yeah, I really fancy Spurs, and they haven't been great. They haven't set the world alight, but they been squeaking out wins, and this is really a game that they should be picking up a win in. And yes, that Leeds are playing very well at the moment.
Mm.
But Spurs have the home ground advantage. They've got Harry Kane. It's the last game week before the World Cup. There's going to be goals in this one, I reckon. I think the overs. Let's have a quick squiz and see what they're looking like. 1.62. Yeah, I'm not going to get involved in the
Yeah, I
overs at
think I
that
think
price.
that fairly decent price on Spurs is more a reflection on Leeds' improvement rather than
Mm.
Spurs. Spurs have kind of just been, I mean, before the season started, I quite fancy them, but I think Leeds have improved over the last few weeks. But yeah, I think that's a fairly good price. I think I'm also very, very much looking forward to the Chelsea, Newcastle game. But I must say, I was quite surprised to see. And you don't often, because the EPL is such a sharp market generally, and there's so many opinions that form it. You don't see big odd swings. But Newcastle got hammered as those odds came out. It came out as a pick 'em. 2.7 on either side, which is generally a pick 'em in football. And they moved out, Newcastle moved down to 2.33, almost like within minutes.
Mm.
So as soon as those odds got posted, there was big money coming on Newcastle. And I now think it's moved to a point where, to be honest, I think if there's anything, there's probably a little bit of value on Chelsea. But yeah, that was quite interesting to see. But I don't know, from a betting perspective, I don't really know where to go with that one. I won't bet it. I'll just sit back, relax, and enjoy that game.
Yeah,
But
I don't know if I can enjoy that game because Chelsea's still a dangerous side. But I fancy Newcastle to get a result here, maybe on the draw and a bet. on the double chance, 1.38 on the double chance, 1.66 on the draw no bet. I'm going to take the double chance, I think, in an accumulator. It's really hard to call this one. Chelsea are just pretty solid defensively. You saw how they kind of set up against Arsenal. I want to say unders in this game, but once again, the bookies have that as a pick'em. Over 2.5, under 2.5, it's pretty much 1.9. And Newcastle have been scoring freely, but Chelsea aren't the kind of side that are going to concede like a couple goals.
I think that looks about right. I also couldn't really decide if that would be over or under 2.5. I think that's about right.
Both teams to score 1.71. Might be a shot.
Well, speaking of both teams to score, that's actually in some way where I will have a bet in the EPL is both teams to score actually when Man City host Brentford, and this is a market I love backing when the price is right. And I've had very, very good fortune with this backing this bet with Man City playing at home, especially. I mean, City have conceded a fair amount of goals this season, much more than they have last season, and I think they'll back themselves to outscore Brentford. So obviously we know that the Bees have been very competent in front of goal. So both teams to score 2.03 at odds against looks good enough for me. I see this being a 3-1, a 4-1 kind of game.
Yeah.
So I quite like.
They just have been conceding those random goals out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I mean it's not necessarily, obviously no team wants to concede goals, and the professional footballers, but at the same time, Man City are not going to panic if they get behind, or if Brentford even concede a late goal. 4-0 going into the 80th minute or something, they concede one. Who cares? So I just think it's gonna, if it's a scoring contest, Man City are going to win it. They're not going to worry about conceding. So I like both teams to score 2.03.
All right, nice one. Both teams to score there, Man City versus Brentford. I think Tony's going to be back for Brentford after his suspension as well. So
yeah,
got their talisman back. And then Wolves taking on Arsenal. I'm surprised to see Arsenal at 1.57. I think that's a bit of a gift. Wolves have just not been good this season. Arsenal are the form side. They've looked solid away. They've looked solid at home. They're playing arguably one of the worst sides in the league. Really struggling for goals are Wolves. And 1.57, I think I can't ignore that. I'm going to have to put that in my accumulator. If Arsenal stumble here, then City will take pole position, I think.
Yeah. I think it's 2 points, right? So that'll put them there. Yeah.
And then on the Sunday we've got Fulham taking on Man United. I think that could be quite an interesting game. I'm surprised to see Man United when I was getting confused earlier. But anyway, I'm surprised to see Man United kind of short on that one. I would have had them a bit higher playing against Fulham.
Evens. Yeah, me too.
And that would be the last game that pretty much wraps up the break until when are they coming back? Is it January?
Only the no, it's the 18th, I think, of December, if I'm not mistaken.
Straight after the World Cup, basically, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's going to be.
Or is it after Christmas? Hang on a minute. I think it is. It's the 26th. 26th. So it's Boxing Day.
Yes.
Boxing Day. Yeah.
That is going to be interesting. I'm not sure what the squads are going to look like after the World Cup.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, that's going to be a complete luck box.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But that pretty much wraps up most of the Premier League games. West Ham versus Leicester. Leicester are just looking amazing defensively at the moment. I mean, they're just not conceding goals. I think Ward's kept a clean sheet for like the last 6 games or something.
Yeah.
Against some decent opposition. So maybe West Ham, Leicester unders could be a shout there. A lot of their games have been kind of low scoring. What's the unders?
Yeah.
1.89 for under 2.5. I have to grab a little bit of that action. That's a decent price, I think. I don't think that's going to be a very high scoring game. Maybe like a 1-1-1-0 kind of affair. And that wraps up our accumulator. We've got England minus 19.5. I've got France to beat South Africa. City to beat Brentford, Liverpool to beat Southampton. They should do that quite comfortably. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those games where Liverpool score like 5 or 6 goals. I haven't really chatted about it, but I'm putting that straight win in my accumulator. 1.26 is just too good to ignore. Newcastle will draw against Chelsea. We've got Arsenal to beat Wolves, and then I'm going to put the unders in the West Ham versus Leicester game, and it's going to get you a whopping 18.29. So I'll snap that bet through. And hopefully that's going to be a nice little accumulator win that we can chat about next week when we jump over to the World Cup betting. You excited about the World Cup, Simon?
Absolutely, yeah, it's going to be great. Look, I mean, I'm interested to see what the whole sort of vibe is going to be like in Qatar, and I think
Mm,
obviously there's a whole bunch of controversy around that and so on. But it's going to be a different World Cup.
mm.
I can't see it not being a different kind of World Cup, just based on where it's being hosted. But always exciting, always fun to have football every day, all day. It's a great tournament and always fun to watch and
Yeah,
bet on.
yeah. The vibe is something that I'm going to be interested to see because it's. I mean, it's like what's the population of Qatar? Like 2 million people or something like that. It's
Must be something like that,
it's,
yeah.
it's so tiny. I mean, and yeah, it's just going to be packed full of fans and you know, like yeah, we'll see how you want to see beer drinking in the stadium. You want to see Oaks having a good time. I'm not sure how welcome that's going to be.
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be a fine line to walk there. I feel, yeah.
Yeah, if you're a football fan and you're going out there, I'd kind of be very, very careful. I'm sure they're going to have to be a bit more lax with their
Mm.
with
Oh, of
their
course,
their, their rules.
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
it's just also not a place that you kind of want to go and visit, even if you're not able to get tickets. You know, like and I'd
mm.
love to go watch a World Cup in Brazil or France or even Russia. You know, like these are interesting
Yeah.
places where there's a lot going on. And yeah, Qatar. I don't want to bash them too much, but yeah, I just disagree with them being the hosts. I think it should have gone to someone else. But let's
Mm.
see what they do.
Yeah,
Let me
absolutely.
not prematurely judge them.
First
But
time for everything. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so that's what's going to be happening in the next couple of episodes. We'll be doing some group previews. We'll be doing some outright previews. We did pick the winner for the Euros. Hopefully, we can do it again
Yeah.
for World Cup. I think my early fancy is probably something like Brazil. I
Oh,
know
I'm
there's
going to
not
be
a lot
very
of
boring
value.
and say Brazil as well.
Yeah, there's not a lot of value, but I can't back France. There's no real outsiders that are actually maybe Uruguay is an outsider, but I think it's definitely going to a South
Yeah.
American side.
Yeah. No, I must say I haven't been one who's fancied Brazil going into a World Cup that much in the past, but I must say this time I do fancy them. They are
Mm.
my outright fancy, and
Well,
obviously not the juiciest odds, but as well saying.
yeah, yeah, and we'll be breaking that down in the next episode. So, guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the podcast. We'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.